David, by the number 10, and he really has got beautiful hands, hasn't he?
Oh, he has. He's playing very, very well this evening. And I think against England he was asked to play a kicking game. They didn't have the platform to play the kicking game, and okay, England have got a much better organised defence, but I think if he'd gone out and played this sort of game against England, then well, it might have been a much tighter match than it actually was.
Well, as the rain continues to fall here in Saint-Étienne, let's go down to our pitchside reporter once more, Jonathan Harris-Bass. Jonathan, any clues as to the sort of body language of the teams as they come back out onto the pitch any minute now?
Well, the American bench I'm sitting right next to look pretty disappointed, and I think the major problem for them, as you've just been discussing, they haven't really had any ball, and the difference between this Samoan performance and the ones that we've seen in the build in the previous 3 encounters has been that they haven't really looked that solid in the line out or in the set scrum, and although they haven't looked that great in the set scrum here today, they've looked better in the line out, and they're getting much more possession, and they've got a solid platform to build from, and that's allowing their backs to have the freedom to run with the ball. And it's just a real shame that we haven't seen this sort of rugby from the Samoans in the rest of the World Cup. But they're looking delighted down on their bench.
Yeah, I'll bet they are. What is the state of the pitch? We can't quite... Well, you've got a much better view than we have. It does seem to be cutting up in places, but is it holding up all right?
It is holding up all right. I mean, the ground staff have been going around with their hose and just trying to tidy it up during the interval. But this, I mean, we've had so much rain here in Saint-Étienne today that it's unsurprising that it's beginning to really cut up. But out of all of the grounds that I've been to so far, this is the one that seems to be weathering the worst after 40 minutes of international rugby.
Well, certainly the players have faced probably the worst conditions of the World Cup so far, and that's certainly not to the detriment of the organisers of the World Cup by any stretch of the imagination, but we've enjoyed superb conditions. So will Samoa rise in 2011? If they do, I hope we're there to see it, David.
Indeed. That tournament being held in New Zealand, of course.
So we're getting ready for the second half of the USA against Samoa. Samoa have got a good lead at the moment.
T-minus 30 seconds.
So Wayne Barnes, the English referee, some have even suggested that he could be a name for the final on the 20th of October up at Stade de France in Saint-Denis in northern Paris. That's some way away yet. Let's concentrate on Samoa versus the United States, and the USA have got a lot to do now.
Well, I think it's important they have a good second half, because as you said earlier, they've got a very tough assignment over the weekend against South Africa in their final pool match.
So the American captain Mike Kirkus gets play underway, and this frightening number 8 by Aluga. He really has had a great game. He goes back to Sapolu. So the United States, a very, very high left-footed kick there by Chris Wiles. Totally going Samoa's way. And once again, Todd Clever being very, very busy, the American back row forward, but knocked on by the USA. So a first set piece of the second half.
Yeah, Todd Clever's impressed me in all of the games that he's played in.
Longer balls, okay. Let's make sure it's disciplined. Longer balls, let's make
At the
sure
University of Nevada, and you just wonder how if you had players like this getting into professional rugby, how that would bring on American rugby. People like Lou Stanfield, Todd Clever, they've been standout players in a US side which has been under a lot of pressure.
I just wonder, how many clubs from Europe have sent people over here to have a look, because I'm very sure that some of the Americans would get snapped up, particularly the back row trio of Stanfield, Clever and Munga. The referee just playing advantage for the moment. So the USA penalised on that occasion.
I was talking to Peter Fatialofa, the Samoan assistant coach, before the South African match, and he was saying that during their warm-up games, which they went to the UK for, virtually all of their players were signed up by Premiership sides or sides in the UK or France. So it is very much a showcase for talent.
Was it Tonga or Samoa that went out for a big meal one night?
It was the Tongans.
It was the Tongans where they ate a pub out of just about every bit of food they had, I think.
Yeah, they had to send round to the local chippy to get extra chips.
That's right.
But you have to say, I think Samoa probably wouldn't be too far away in a chicken eating competition. Some big units in there.
There certainly is. So Mahonri Shvalga plays his rugby in Wellington as well. There's a long pass out to the centre. Mapasua takes it on another couple of metres or so. Certainly some big driving runs by the Samoan three-quarters and the forwards, of course. Sapolu tries to go back inside, but support they're not immediately coming for the outside half. But look at that. Fly half manages to just get it away, and there were good hands there, good interpassing. It's the American centres working quite well, and over Seviali just tidying things up. But Samoa not making much progress. This has been good defence by the USA. Tuilangi. Look at the strength of this man. Samoa once more. Great driving run now by the number 8. Junior Polly there, just waiting. Good passing. Well, I was going to say good passing. Loki Crichton managed to clean that one up. And watch this. Oh my goodness. That was so close. Lomi Fa'atu there couldn't quite gather the ball in.
Well, the Americans were so tight in their defence, and Fa'atu was right out wide on the wing. He was right on his own there. You see Selesi Sika very tight in. Lovely little kick there by Loki Crichton as well.
And Todd Clever is in the wars again.
That hold, please.
I'm not quite sure what Selesi Sika was shouting and screaming about, because it would have been a try. I had the winger managed to hang on to the ball. The scrummage, USA through Chan Erskine. Good driving run by Samoa, but a great pickup by the American number 8. Here goes Selesi Sika. And well taken. Loki Crichton once more on the attack. Little floating pass there to Ilangi. And all of a sudden Samoa turning defence into attack, but Tuilangi there eventually throwing the ball forward. I thought actually the referee had blown his whistle there, but Americans just playing advantage. Americans trying to clear their lines, which they have done.
It looked like Todd Clever coming off. He'll be a big miss.
That's the rear view of Esekir as Loki Crichton once again goes on the attack, and this is where Tuilangi stepped inside Ngwenya. So we have our first substitution of the game. Blake Burdett it is who's come on for the USA. Will be wearing number 16. Disappointment for Todd Clever. He's been such an integral part of this American team. With good hands once again by Samoa. But the USA have turned it over. Selesi Sika trying to go outside of Lomi Fa'atu. Certainly is swinging one way and the other. We've had 6.5 minutes of this second half. No score in the second half. Still 22 points to 3 as the USA are penalised. Oh. Well, the outside half there, Sapolu trying to take the ball quickly.
Well, Mike Hurkis needs to be careful. He is, I was going to say, if that was sevens, he'd be in the sin bin for a yellow card. But I'm
not sure the referee actually noticed it. He had his back to Mike Hercus, and I think the American captain very lucky there. So Loki Crichton trying to make as much ground, just punts the ball down towards the 22. That was almost a textbook tackle, wasn't it? Just dropping down and letting the weight and the momentum of the player take the player to the ground. So what can the Samoa do from here? Great take by the captain, Samoa Satidi. Second row forward, Kane Thompson, who of course scored a try in the first half. Junior Polu, the Samoan scrum half, shouting and screaming about something going on down there, but the Americans look as though they've turned it over. Well, whatever happened, oh my goodness, that was an absolutely massive hit by Mahonri Shvalga on his opposite number, Owen Lentz. The USA come away. This is probably one of their best attacking moves of the game, up towards the halfway line. USA lost possession, and look at this guy move, Census Johnson. Just hands off Lewis Stanfield once and then twice before he's tackled. Long passing by Samoa. Little breakthrough there by Alves-Seviali, but he couldn't hang on to the ball. Yeah, I think we all know what he said there.
It's bother in Samoan. I think that's another word. He just overran it slightly, Alves-Seviali. So he'd just been able to hold it up a little bit more, but a great break by the big prop forward, Census Johnson. He's just overrun it fractionally.
Second row.
Just rips the ball, and well, he's in open space, off the right foot.
Well, you could have
a couple of handoffs.
He could have been forgiven for just trying to barge his way through there, but he actually sidestepped the player, which is fantastic.
Well, he's had a fantastic game, actually, Census Johnson, I think. Had a very difficult evening against England, where Andrew Sheridan really put him under a huge amount of pressure in the scrum. And, you know, when you're under pressure in the scrum, it's very difficult to get out as a prop and run around the park. But obviously, not under quite as much pressure from Mike McDonald.
There's certainly one or two spectators braving the elements here tonight. As one or two of the players just get a little bit of respite there and a bit of medical attention. Wayne Barnes, the referee, wanting to get on with things. Interesting position for Samoa to be in.
Crouch, touch, balls, engage.
That's the Americans. Big drive again by Samoa. And scrum wheeling right round. But where is the ball? Drive by the American forwards. No support though. Oh. A little bit of argy-bargy there. Mike Hercus though trying to spin things away now. And once again it looks as though the Americans have thrown caution to the wind. Celeste Sika there. And that ball goes into the end goal area. My goodness. That was so quick. Loki Crichton contesting the ball with Chris Wiles, and the referee actually wants to take a look at that.
Well, I think that's a nonsense. You know, there's no question that Loki Crichton had it under control. He was just waiting for the ball to go over the line and plop down on top of it. There was no way that Chris Wiles was anywhere near the ball. And even if he had been, he'd been, you know, sticking his hand up and saying, I've scored a try there. He was almost just trying to tackle Loki Crichton. I think that's nonsense, to be honest.
Absolutely. And the referee's not too far behind the two number 15, so you know, it should have been fairly straightforward.
You can see Chris Wiles as he gets up. You know, if he thought he'd scored a try, he'd you know, put his hands in the air and try and con the referee that way. But you know, there was no question of that. But well.
No, Chris Wiles knew precisely what had gone on. So, as we all suspected it would be, it's a 22 dropout. Still 22 points to 3. Just over 10 minutes gone of this second half, and that's a big kick by Loki Crichton. Well taken in by Ngwenya. huge hanging kick there. Nobody seemed to want to go for that one. Eventually Loki Crichton gathers it in. Now, what can Samoa conjure up from here? There's the big number 8 once more. Oh, tremendous speed by